As of September 2021, student loan debt in the United States totaled $1.73 trillion and grows 6 times faster than the nation's economy. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the First Hustle Then Brunch podcast. One of the most common questions I receive from clients is, should I refinance my student loans? In today's episode, I'll explain what student loan refinancing is, the difference between that and student loan consolidation, and how to know if it's the right choice for you. Keep listening, and I'll also share the best way that I've found to refinance your student loans. But before we dive in, I do want to share a little bit of background. So, in case you don't already know a little bit about me, I graduated from one of the top universities in the country with both a bachelor's and master's degree, as well as a whopping 6-figure student loan debt. I've refinanced my student loans twice, so I can answer any questions you have about how it works, so feel free to shoot me a DM if you have any questions after listening. I also wanted to share some stats with you from the Education Data Initiative, just to put it into perspective how serious the student debt crisis really is. As of September 2021, student loan debt in the United States totaled $1.73 trillion and grows 6 times faster than the nation's economy. An estimated 43.2 million student borrowers are in debt by an average of $39,351 each. That is insane. So if you're dealing with student debt right now, just know that you are absolutely not alone. I could spend so much time talking about how I feel about the student debt crisis, but I'll save that for another day. For now, let's talk about the options you have to save money and potentially time when paying off your student loans. So when you first took out your student loans, you probably didn't have much control when it came to your interest rate, which we know can quickly add thousands of dollars to your student loan balance over time. With a better interest rate, you can save money on your student loans and pay them off faster. And that's why many people consider student loan refinancing or student loan consolidation in the years after they graduate. Most people have multiple federal loans, but they could also have some private loans with various balances and interest rates. With student loan consolidation, you will essentially combine all of your federal student loans into a brand new federal loan with one single payment and one interest rate. Again, this loan would be from the federal government and have specific protections that I'll go over a bit later. On the other hand, when you refinance your student loans, a private lender will pay off your existing private or federal loans and combine them into a new loan with a single monthly payment and one interest rate. So, why might you want to refinance your student loans? The obvious and most common reason is to get a lower interest rate. Variable interest rates, which change based on how the market is going, could be a good option if you plan to pay off the student loan relatively quickly. If not, you may want to switch from a variable interest rate to a fixed interest rate that stays the same throughout the life of the loan so you know exactly what to expect. Many companies offer an additional discount on the interest rate if you sign up for autopay. Basically, they want to make sure that they get paid, but it's also nice because you'll have one less thing to worry about each month. Other reasons you may want to refinance your student loans include reducing the number of bills you have to keep up with, lowering your monthly payment, or reducing the amount of time it takes to pay off the loan. As I mentioned earlier, I'll share an easy way to refinance your student loans in a bit, but when it comes time to compare the monthly payment, make sure that the savings you receive is not just because you've increased the length of repayment. Otherwise, you could end up paying more over the life of the loan. For example, let's say your old monthly payment was $500 and the length of repayment was 10 years. Now you refinanced and you have a $250 monthly payment, but the length of repayment is 20 years. You realize that refinancing wasn't actually that helpful once you lay it out that way. So, who is student loan refinancing good for? Student loan refinancing is a great option for those who have a lot of high-interest federal and/or private student loans. However, you're more likely to be approved for a new loan if you have good credit and earn a consistent monthly income. Before you consider refinancing your federal student loans, keep in mind that once you do, you'll forfeit some of those protections that I mentioned earlier. For example, you may no longer be eligible for student loan forgiveness, income-based repayment plans, or payment postponement if you go back to school or experience a hardship like a global pandemic. If you plan to use any federal repayment programs or think that you could in the future, I don't recommend refinancing your federal student loans. For those reasons, I chose to only refinance my private student loans. However, I know that some private lenders, such as SoFi, have unemployment protection programs that could help if you ever needed it. I refinanced with them right after I graduated from undergrad. I had 4 different private loans with variable interest rates from 12 to 16%, which is ridiculous thinking about now, and I lowered my interest rate to 6%, which saved me over $28,000. So, once you've decided that you want to refinance your student loans, how do you go about doing it? There are so many lenders that offer student loan refinancing. Most of the time, you can check your rate without it impacting your credit score. However, it takes a lot of time to research all of your options and apply on their websites. Last year, I found a much easier way to refinance your student loans. It's an organization called Juno, and it was started by a group of millennials who realized young people were drowning in student debt and they wanted to do something about it. They realized that if they got a bunch of people together, they could use the power of group buying, similar to Groupon or Hotels.com, to negotiate a better deal for everyone. After hearing about this company, I decided to refinance my student loans again in 2021, and I used Juno. I loved that I only had to apply once, and I had offers to compare from multiple lenders, which made it super easy for me. If you want to get in on their negotiated rates, I'll include a link where you can apply in the show notes. It takes 2 minutes and just requires some basic information. It's also completely free, and there's no commitment to take any of their deals. In addition to better loan terms, a few deals that caught my eye were their interest rate discounts, and you can get up to a $1,000 bonus when you refinance. They also have several scholarships, including a monthly one for $1,000 that can be applied to current tuition or towards your existing student loans if you already have some. I'm not sure why it took so long for something like this to be available, but I'm glad it's here now, and I hope that you're able to take advantage of it too. Thanks for tuning in to the First Hustle Then Brunch podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new, I'd love if you subscribed and left us a review. Another way to support the podcast is to take a screenshot of this episode and share it on your Instagram story. Tag me at First Hustle Then Brunch so I can repost it. Thank you so much for supporting the show, and I'll see you in the next episode.